Hey guys, Feuerrm here, and today I'm going to be testing the true king of Asphalt 9 in multiplayer, the Lancer Evolution. Now, I made a video about this car a while back in its own season at 2 stars. Now, another season has come back for this car only, and I've maxed it, so I figured I would give you guys sort of my best races of the season, because a lot of you were actually asking for it. There was one point in the season where I actually managed to hit the top 10, but unfortunately I was not able to stay there, and I ended up at position 70 or something. But that was with starting a few days after the season actually had, so not too bad still. At the beginning of this race here, it was one of the closest beginnings I had. I was pretty much neck and neck with this guy. We touched each other in the air so many times. Eventually, he pulled slightly away at the very beginning here. And these are more of these sorts of races that I'm having in the video. There were so many ones where either I got like 360'd when somebody was next to me, or I got really far ahead and it was boring. The ones I'm trying to do are the more interesting ones, if you know what I mean. And that's probably what I'll try to do in the future if I do more in these seasons where there's only one car. Like currently there's the AMG GTS season going on. I don't know if I'm going to make a video about that. It is the other car that has the customization parts though, even though like those do not actually make your car any better or anything. It's just that I've tested that car before already at 3 stars, so I don't really know if I'm going to do that. But yeah, in my other sorts of videos that are in the other seasons, like when they're not all of the same car, it doesn't exactly make a whole lot of sense to try to get ones that were very close. Like if the car is extremely fast, well, you're pretty much always going to be ahead, so in that case, the good races are more of the ones where just the driving is extremely good, and it's fun to watch because of that, rather than the actual competition you have. Or if you want to show how reliable a car is, you might do a bunch of sequential races. Or if you have like an underdog car, that's when you might put those races in where, yeah, you might not win, but you still do quite well against a lot of cars that people might not think you would. So yeah, there's a bit of a different sorts of philosophies that go into making different multiplayer videos of mine, if that makes sense. But I always want to be informative and entertaining. It just varies sort of based on the kind of car that I'm testing. So I'm sure you guys all know by now what the Lancer's strengths and weaknesses are. Pretty much it is quite weak in every stat except for the nitro efficiency, which is actually quite good at 3 stars, as you can see here. But the top speed and acceleration and drifting and handling are all not very good, which puts this car to the second worst car in the game on my best and worst cars in each class list, just above the Z4, which I consider to be the worst. Now speaking of that list, well, you guys probably know that I uploaded it not long before the update which added the Senna, and in that update, the XL Sport, the 370Z Nismo, and the DS E10s were all buffed quite a bit, especially the E10s, which has a very glitched double tap nitro, allowing you to actually gain nitro when you are in the air if you're in double tap nitro, which is something that you can't do with any other car even if you're on single tap nitro, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I cannot think of any right now. So people have been asking me to make a video about the updated E10s. I might at some point, however, I made one not a whole lot of time ago, so we'll see. After a quite close first part of the video, he wrecks near the end, but we were quite a good bit ahead anyway at that point. And now for the third race in the video. One reason I made it was, of course, because you guys were asking for it, but another one was because I wanted to show these new customization parts and talk a little bit about them. Currently, they are only able to be gotten on the AMG GTS and this car here, the Lancer. But there are a lot, and I believe they're sort of testing them on these, the community's reaction to them, and that guy just tried to 360 me. Yeah, there were some quite annoying Lancers in the season. I really wish they had turned off 360 knockdowns here, or knockdowns in general, because that would have made it a whole lot more skill-based. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the customization parts. So recently there have been basically an event every day in order to get the ones for first the Lancer and now for the AMG GTS, the ones that are currently going on as I'm recording this video. And we're getting sort of close to the end of them, I believe. I haven't played it every day, being busy with college and all, but I've gotten most of them, and I've especially gone for the ones that change the front and the back, because I believe those are the ones that you would see the most, especially the back. Like this one here, on the back of the Lancer, I made a point specifically to get, because I think it looks really cool on the car. Everything I've heard from the community shows that they really do like these customization options, and would like to see more. I definitely would like to as well. I think that it's a really cool feature that probably should have come before, but I'm just very thankful that it is coming now, and I think that Gameloft would definitely do good to introduce it in more cars in the future, because they're really nice on cars, and it allows you to differentiate your cars more from other people, even more so than you can do now with colors and carbon parts. So you know how I was saying earlier in the video that I wish that 360 knockdowns, or knockdowns in general, were turned off this season? Well, a few days ago, Isaac, Sierra, and I were having a bit of a discussion, debate sort of thingy about this very topic. Should 360s be in Asphalt 9 in general, really? He believes they should be in the game, and he has no problem doing them in multiplayer. I believe they shouldn't be in the game, and I really especially don't think that they should be done in multiplayer. So we decided to put on each of our channels a poll simply asking, do you think ground 360s are a good feature to have in Asphalt 9? Not even asking in particular in multiplayer, but just in general the feature. His poll got over 1,000 responses and mine got well over 2,000. So overall we got close to 3,500. So we were able to get a pretty good estimate of how people were thinking about it. Now what was very interesting, on his side about 80% of people said yes they should be in the game, but on my side about 67% of people said no they should not. This may seem weird at first. Why the discrepancy? Well, if you think about it, it starts to make sense. For somebody who doesn't have a problem doing 360 knockdowns in multiplayer, the people that continue to watch his videos and be active on his channel are probably going to be mostly ones who feel the same way. Same with my channel, me not liking them at all. So I did some number crunching, and I found that between our two polls, the amount of people that said yes was just over 1,600, and the amount of people that said no, they should not be in the game was just under 1,800. This comes up to a 48% yes, 52% no. Now this is quite close. Closer than what I expected, but I did note that in my comments on that poll, a lot of people were saying that yes, it is a good feature to have in the game, like to knock down cops, for example, and I can sort of understand that. I didn't really think about that. But in multiplayer, a lot of people were saying it should be turned off, or it shouldn't knock down the other player, or one person even said it should knock down the person who 360'd, even though they were fine with having it in other parts of the game. And I think that not having it in multiplayer, but still having it in other parts of the game is a pretty common sentiment as well. So there's definitely more than 52% who don't think it should be a thing to knock down people with 360s in multiplayer. Overall, it was a very interesting survey, and I'm glad we conducted it. We're now into the penultimate race in the video, racing the exact same guy that we were racing in the previous one. It was quite close, and as you can see, it is quite close here as well. Unfortunately, he went over to the right, and I couldn't really do anything about that, and accidentally squished him to the side. You see, I don't really mind knockdowns like that, having them in the game. Now, obviously, when I get knocked down with that, it's annoying, but I don't really feel frustrated at the person necessarily, because, well, it's something that we've had in Asphalt 8 for a long time. It actually makes sense, and it's not the easiest thing to do either. Ground 360 knockdowns, on the other hand, just feel like a cheap way for less skilled players to knock down more skilled players and beat them without actually trying to get better at the game and beat them cleanly. Now, don't get me wrong, I know there are plenty of skilled people who do ground 360s to knock people down, and while I think that is even worse actually than noobs doing it because they can win without doing that, by and large I've found that it is the less skilled players who end up doing that, because in almost all of the races that I have had with skilled members, especially ones in the community, we've respected each other. We've done normal races, clean races, not tried to knock each other down, especially with 360s. And in this case of mutual respect, it is definitely a more fun race for everybody involved, and even if people are disappointed if they win, they can understand why it happened, and they probably won't get as upset as somebody would if they just kind of came up and 360'd them. I just wish everybody would be more respectful in multiplayer, because I think that would lead to a lot less fallings out in the community and leaving in a whole bunch of stuff like that. And as a whole, the general player base would be a lot more happy, not having to worry about this cheap tactic anymore. If you disagree with me on this, that's fine. I respect your opinion. It's just with the experience that I've had with the game and Asphalt 8 as well, this just seems to be the best way to deal with it, would be to remove ground 360s and just have the ability to do 360s off of edges or ramps, just like in Asphalt 8. Pretty much the knockdowns and spinning system would be the same as in that game, because I really don't remember the same sort of outcry against knockdowns in Asphalt 8 as there was in Asphalt 9. What changed? Thank you all for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt, Forza, and Minecraft content. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!